What if I told you that there is one writer in English literature who went from working in factories as a child to being one of the greatest novelists of all time? In this process, he didn't just transform his own life, but he changed the entire course of English literature. And that writer is Charles Dickens, the name you cannot ignore, especially if you're preparing for your UGC NET English exam. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Charles Dickens is one of the most frequently asked authors in UGC NET exam. In his works, he has aptly captured the struggles of the poor of the Victorian England. He has criticized industrialization and at the same time has created some of the most unforgettable characters in literature. But how do we effectively study Dickens for this particular exam? What kind of questions are generally asked and what are his most important works? In this video, I'll break down all of these questions. I'll begin with a brief discussion on his life and influences, major works, and some of the most important and effective exam strategies that you can apply, especially when it comes to preparing Charles Dickens for your UGC NET English exam. So stay tuned till the end of this video and don't forget to take notes. Charles Dickens wasn't just a writer, he was a phenomenon. Often referred to as the quintessential Victorian author, he has often captured the true realities, the true social realities of 19th century Victorian England. And therefore, his works have everything for everyone, for the poor as well as the elite, for the common as well as Queen Victoria herself. But Dickens's journey wasn't that really easy. His life is a classic rags to riches kind of a story. At just the age of 12, he had to work in factory when his father was imprisoned for debt. This experience left a very deep scar in his life, and so you would find that in his works, he has often sympathized with the working classes. And so his works often deal with the themes of poverty, childhood suffering, and injustice. But Dickens didn't always want to be a writer. In fact, many don't know this about him. He had always wished to be a professional actor. Little did he know that destiny had different plans for him. He started his literary career by working as a newspaper reporter and gradually started submitting different literary sketches to magazines and newspapers, which were later published as Sketches by Bose, his first literary output. And then soon after, he published the first installment of Pickwick Papers, which made him the most celebrated author of all time. Over the period of years, he continued to produce a great variety of novels, which have now become the classics in English literature. Now, before we begin discussing these classics, I have a quick quiz question for you. Charles Dickens had a really close friend who became his biographer. What is his name? Let me know in the comments section below. By now, you have heard that Dickens is such a phenomenal writer, such a celebrated author, or such an insightful writer. But what makes him so popular? How come his every book was such a huge success? Because it is not always about what he wrote. It is also about how he wrote it. Dickens's writing style was so distinctive that it has its own literary term called as Dickensian. So what is this Dickensian writing style? In his works, he has tried to portray the Victorian era London. How? If you go through his works, you will realize that the way that he has described the buildings, like the buildings are very dark, the buildings are covered with soot. All of this reflects the dark but the grim realities of that particular time, of industrialization, of poverty, at the same time social injustice. And one of the most interesting things that I find about Dickens's writing style is that he would often exaggerate the external physical traits of the characters to reinforce their internal personalities. For example, any greedy character that you take from any of his novels, in order to reinforce the character's greediness, he would often include that slouch in the walking style of that character, or there would be this huge stomach that is out there of this particular character, right? Something along the lines of it. And all of this ties down to his one major characteristic writing style, and that is satire. His biting humor that he often uses to expose the flaws of institutions like the workhouse systems, like the legal courts, and the industrial economy. You will find the satire, you will find the exaggerated characters, as well as the description of London in his three major novels that are frequently asked in UGC NET English exam. And we are going to discuss these three novels in this video itself. The first novel that we are going to discuss in this video is Charles Dickens's most powerful novel, and that is Oliver Twist. Published serially between 1837 and 1839 under the pseudonym of Bose, Oliver Twist is a direct response to the Poor Law Act of 1834, where poor people were forced to work in workhouses under very harsh and dreadful conditions. The novel follows the life story of a young Oliver who was born in a workhouse in 1830s England. After a short while of his birth, his mother died. Having no parents, he was sent into this child farm, which is like an orphanage, where he grew up to a certain age. After that particular time period, he was sent back to the workhouse where he was subjected to very harsh mistreatment. And so he decided that he's not going to live there anymore and he might try his hand in the streets of London. And on the streets of London, he got acquainted with the criminal underworld because of the cunning Fagin. Now his entire process of getting acquainted with the criminal world, with the underworld, and the redemption of it with the help of Mr. Brownlow is one of the best parts of the story. What made Oliver Twist so groundbreaking was its unflinching, its honest portrayal of crime and murder. So much so that it is now termed as a Newgate novel. What is a Newgate novel? Newgate novel, also called as an Old Bailey novel, refers to a literary genre that grew in the 1830s and 40s in England, and the term Newgate derives from the infamous Newgate prison in London. So basically, this literary genre actually talks about the real life or fictional criminals, right? Glamorizes their lives or romanticizes their life stories and portrays them in such a manner as if they are the victims of their own circumstances. But in Oliver Twist, Dickens is not trying to glamorize or romanticize the life of Oliver. Rather, he's trying to expose the grim realities of the society. He's trying to expose the exploitation of the poor and the corruption of institutions who are meant to help the poor. And as a result of which, it becomes one of the most powerful critiques of society that still resonates today. And therefore, it becomes a must-know text for UGC NET English aspirants. Next up, we have Dickens's most ambitious novel, which is Bleak House. First published as a 20-episode serial between 1852 and 1853, this novel is a blend of not just mystery and satire, but also gothic fiction, providing a scathing critique of British legal system this time. At the heart of the novel, at the core of the novel, you have this infamous Jaundice and Jaundice case, which is a never-ending legal dispute that has consumed so many lives, taken the fortunes of so many people, and it serves as a powerful metaphor of the inefficiency and the corruption of the legal system. This entire novel is like a legal drama told in words. So who is at the center of this legal drama? We have Esther Summerson, an orphan who is raised by her aunt. The novel is partly told from her perspective and partly told by an omniscient narrator. Over the course of this entire novel, we come across various other important characters like Lady Dedlock. We realize that, oh wait, she is not the person she told herself to be in the beginning of the novel. We also come across this kind-hearted and generous John Jarndyce. At the same time, we also come across Richard Carstens, whose obsession with the lawsuit leads to his downfall. But Bleak House isn't just a legal drama, it's also an urban Gothic novel. And what is that one characteristic which makes it an urban Gothic novel? It's the fog. The entire London city is shrouded with fog. It haunts the city. Combining this feature of Gothic fiction with Dickens's biting satire, this novel becomes a compelling read because it exposes the hypocrisy of Victorian society. And if you are preparing for your UGC NET English exam, then this is one of the most important novels that you should never skip. Last but certainly not the least, the third novel that we are going to discuss in this video is Great Expectations, one of Dickens's most beloved novels. One of the most interesting things that I find about this novel is that it is the second novel after David Copperfield to have been written entirely in first person. First serialized from 1861 and 1862, this novel is like a classic Bildungsroman. It traces the journey of Pip, whose life is completely changed because of unexpected fortunes. Pip's story begins in Kent, where he has a very chilling encounter with this escaped convict called as Magwitch. Gradually and slowly, he forgets about this encounter and visits Satyr's house, the house where the rich but a very bitter Miss Havisham lives with her ward, a very beautiful ward called as Estella. Now, the moment Pip looks at Estella, he is obsessed with her. He wants to gain her approval, and so he tries to elevate his social standing, tries to gain a lot of wealth, thinking that true happiness lies with social status and wealth. But there is this one moment in her life, one realization in her life that shatters all his illusions. And he realizes that Miss Havisham is not his true benefactor, is not his true helper. Do you know who is the true benefactor of Pip? If yes, then let me know in the comment section below. After Pip realizes the true situation, the reality of it, he undergoes this entire process of self-discovery. He understands that loyalty, love, at the same time, relationships are more important than wealth and social status. Towards the end, Pip and Estella do end up with each other. They do try to find happiness with each other. And Pip is trying to go back to his roots, wherein he's trying to value the connections he has made so far. This book is filled with a lot of mystery, humor, heartbreak, but more importantly, this book is a search for true identity, the lesson on what we allow to truly define us. These are three of the most important and frequently asked works of Charles Dickens in UGC NET English exam. Apart from these, you should also go through and understand in detail other works like The Old Curiosity Shop, Little Dorrit, A Tale of Two Cities and Hard Times, because questions related to these works, especially the chronology-based questions, character-based questions and plot points also appear in the exam. But one thing is common to all these novels and how they were originally published. All these novels were originally published in a serialized format. That is, they were published in installments. This was a major trend in Victorian society where each reader awaited for a new chapter, for a new installment to come, much like we binge watch shows today. Want to know more such facts and works related to Charles Dickens that can actually help you crack UGC NET English exam? You can join my live UGC NET English Literature classes. In these live classes, I am breaking down each and every literary period of British literature and Indian English literature in a very detailed and comprehensive manner, followed by a detailed discussion on each and every author with their works, which will help you in tackling the chronology-based questions. Not just that, but I'm also covering the literary theory starting from structuralism down to eco-criticism and queer theory in a very simplified manner. I'm breaking down all the complex concepts provided by the theorists in simplified bits and pieces, which will help you in developing the confidence to crack UGC NET English exam. The best part about these sessions that these are live one-on-one sessions, which means that I can provide you personalized guidance tailored to your needs, requirements and schedule, trying to fill the possible gaps in your UGC NET English exam preparation. So if you want to know more about the kind of courses I offer, the sessions I take and the notes I provide, feel free to check out my TopMate page at topmate.io/Riya Gandhi. I've shared the link in the description box below, so don't forget to check it out. That's it for today's video, folks. If you found this video on Charles Dickens informative and helpful, please like it and share it with other UGC NET English aspirants as well. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so that you don't miss any videos that I will be uploading related to UGC NET English exam in the future. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and I'll see you in the next one.